Hello, this is the owner of the Horror Docs channel. I would like to say that if you liked my content, you could subscribe, thereby help the channel to promote, and I will have more desire to improve and make quality content. There are almost 1,000 subscribers already. Thank you all. Here we go. The Grazenfleischer story was one that shook the entire nation of New Zealand in 2018. It was a story that left people with a sense of shock and horror, and it made them question their own safety when using dating apps. Grayson Flesher was a man who seemed like any other normal guy. He was charming, witty, and had a good sense of humor. He had a job, a car, and a nice house in the suburbs. He was also on Tinder, like many other single people looking for love or a good time. One day, he matched with a woman named Sarah. Sarah was a young woman who was also on Tinder, looking for someone to connect with. She was drawn to Grayson's profile because he seemed like a decent guy. They chatted for a while and decided to meet in person. Grayson invited Sarah to his house for a date. He promised her a good time and said he would cook her dinner. When Sarah arrived at Grayson's house, he seemed friendly and welcoming. He offered her a drink, and they sat down to eat dinner. However, as the night went on, Grayson's behavior began to change. He started to become aggressive and violent towards Sarah. He beat her and sexually assaulted her, and then threatened to kill her if she reported the incident to anyone. Sarah was terrified and didn't know what to do. After the attack, Sarah managed to run from the house and call for help. The police arrived quickly and arrested Grayson. He was charged with rape and assault, and the case went to trial. The trial was long and grueling for Sarah. She had to relive the trauma of the attack over and over again, and she felt like she was being blamed for what had happened to her. Grayson's defense team tried to paint her as a promiscuous woman who was looking for a good time. However, justice was eventually served. Grayson was found guilty of rape and assault, and he was sentenced to 7.5 years in prison. Sarah was relieved that Grayson was going to jail, but she still had to deal with the aftermath of the attack. She suffered from PTSD and had to undergo therapy to deal with the trauma. The Grazenfleischer story is a cautionary tale for anyone who uses dating apps. It's important to be wary of people who may exhibit aggressive behavior or inappropriate reactions. It's also important to be careful when meeting strangers and take all safety precautions to protect your life and health. Sarah's story is not unique. There have been many cases of people being attacked or assaulted by someone they met on a dating app. It's important to take these stories seriously and to be vigilant when using dating apps. In the end, Sarah was able to move on from the trauma of the attack. She was grateful for the support of her friends and family, and she knew that justice had been served. She hoped that her story would help others to be more careful when using dating apps and to stay safe. My opinion? The Grazenfleischer story is a stark reminder of the importance of safety when using dating apps. It's essential to be cautious of aggressive behavior, take necessary precautions when meeting strangers, and trust your instincts. Sarah's bravery in coming forward and seeking justice is commendable and inspiring. In 2018, a young woman named Maria had just moved to Sydney, Australia. She was excited about starting a new chapter in her life, but also felt a bit lonely in this new city. So she decided to try online dating. She downloaded a dating app and started browsing through profiles, hoping to find someone interesting. One day, she came across a profile that caught her attention. The man's name was Adam, and he seemed like a nice guy. They started chatting and soon decided to meet in person. Adam suggested they go to a coffee shop near his house. Maria was a bit nervous, but also excited to meet Adam. When she arrived at the coffee shop, she was relieved to see that he looked just like his profile picture. They started talking and Maria felt like they had a good connection. After an hour or so, Adam suggested they go to his house to watch a movie. Maria hesitated at first, but then thought it could be a good idea. she followed him to his house, but as soon as she entered the house, she felt uneasy. The house was dark and messy, and there were no pictures or personal belongings around. Adam offered her a drink, but Maria declined, saying that she didn't feel well. She wanted to leave, but Adam insisted that she stay and watch the movie. Maria tried to relax and watch the movie, but she couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. Suddenly, Adam got up and disappeared into another room. Maria heard some shuffling and strange noises, but she didn't know what was going on. After a few minutes, Adam came back and sat next to her, smiling. Maria felt something was wrong and decided to leave. But when she tried to get up, she realized that she couldn't move. Adam had tied her hands and feet to the chair. Maria screamed for help, but no one could hear her. She was trapped in the house with a stranger. Adam started laughing and said, "You're not going anywhere, sweetheart. You're mine now." Maria was terrified and didn't know what to do. She begged him to let her go, but Adam just laughed and said, "I've done this before, you know, and I'm good at it." The next morning, Maria didn't show up for work. Her coworkers began looking for her, but they couldn't find her anywhere. Maria's family and friends also started searching for her, but they had no idea where she could be. After a few days, the police discovered Maria's body in Adam's house. She had been murdered, and her body had been abandoned on the bed. Adam was nowhere to be found. The police launched a massive manhunt for him, but he had disappeared without a trace. Maria's family and friends were devastated by her death. They couldn't believe that someone could be so cruel and heartless. They also couldn't understand why Maria had trusted a stranger she had met online. This tragedy serves as a reminder that online dating can be dangerous. It's important to be careful and look out for your safety. Don't trust too quickly and always meet new people in public places. Let your friends or family know your plans for a date, and don't leave your personal information or where you live. Maria's family and friends hope that her story will help others avoid a similar fate. They want people to be aware of the risks of online dating and to take the necessary precautions to stay safe. They also hope that Adam will be caught and brought to justice for what he did to Maria. My opinion: the story of Maria and Adam is a tragic reminder of the risks involved in online dating. It's important to be cautious and prioritize safety when meeting new people, especially strangers from the internet. Always meet in public places, let someone know your plans, and trust your instincts if something feels off. Once upon a time in the bustling city of Dallas, Texas, a man named Kelly Sean Saunier was looking for love. He decided to try his luck on a dating app, hoping to find a match. After a few swipes, he found a woman who caught his eye, and they started chatting. After exchanging messages for a while, Saunier and the woman decided to meet in person. They arranged to go on a date, and he offered to pick her up in his car. Excited to finally meet someone he could potentially connect with, Saunier drove to the location they agreed upon. As the woman got into the car, Saunier's demeanor suddenly changed. He pulled out a knife and threatened her, demanding her money and jewelry. Terrified, she complied and gave him everything she had. However, Saunier wasn't satisfied and continued to threaten her with the knife, demanding more money. He then drove her to an ATM and forced her to withdraw a large amount of money. The woman was still trapped in the car with Saunier, who continued to threaten her with a knife. She knew that she had to escape, but she didn't know how. Finally, where they stopped at a red light, the woman saw her opportunity to flee. She quickly dialed 911 and alerted the police. Saunier was caught, and he was arrested and charged with robbery, attempted murder, and kidnapping. The trial was emotional and intense. The woman recounted her harrowing experience, and Saunier was found guilty of all charges. He was sentenced to 60 years in prison, which would hopefully prevent him from hurting anyone else. After the trial, the woman tried to move on with her life. She struggled with PTSD and anxiety, but she was determined to not let Saunier's actions define her. She went to therapy and found support from her family and friends. Meanwhile, Sonia was serving his sentence in prison, regretting his actions and reflecting on the harm he caused. He knew that he had ruined not only the woman's life, but also his own. He wished that he could turn back time and make different choices. In the end, the woman found healing and hope. She knew that what happened to her was not her fault, and she refused to let it control her life. As for Sonia, he would spend the next 60 years in prison, paying for his crimes and hopefully learning from his mistakes. My opinion? The story above serves as a reminder of the dangers of online dating and the importance of being cautious when meeting someone for the first time. It also highlights the strength and resilience of survivors of trauma and the importance of seeking support and healing. In the year 2017, England saw a terrible case of robbery that left a woman traumatized. The incident happened when the woman, named Olivia, decided to go on a date with a man she met on a dating app. The man's name was David, and he seemed charming and friendly in their chats. Excited for her date, Olivia dressed up and headed to David's house. When she reached his home, David greeted her and offered her a drink. However, as soon as Olivia took a sip, she began to feel uneasy. Something about the atmosphere of the place felt off, and her gut told her to leave. But David seemed insistent and pushed Olivia to stay longer. Olivia tried to brush off her discomfort and give David a chance, but things quickly turned ugly. David demanded that Olivia give him her money and jewelry, and when she refused, he became violent. Olivia tried to reason with David, but he didn't listen. Instead, he began beating her and threatened her with a knife. Olivia was terrified and feared for her life. She knew that she needed to act fast to get out of the situation. Thankfully, Olivia managed to escape from David's house and quickly called the police. The police arrived on the scene and arrested David. He was later convicted of robbery and assaulting Olivia. The incident left Olivia traumatized and afraid of ever going on a date again. She couldn't believe that someone she met online could be so dangerous. She regretted not listening to her instincts and putting herself in danger. This incident serves as a warning to everyone who uses dating apps to be careful and vigilant. Always trust your instincts and never compromise your safety. If something doesn't feel right, it's always best to decline a date or meet in a public place. Olivia's experience was a difficult one, but she learned from it and used it to empower others to be more cautious. She eventually found love in a different way, and she's now happily married to someone she met through a mutual friend. Olivia's story serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a brighter future. My opinion: the story above is a reminder that we should always trust our intuition and be cautious when meeting new people, especially through dating apps. It's important to prioritize our safety and well-being and not compromise them for the sake of a potential romantic connection. It was a sunny day in New York City, and Samantha Stewart was feeling excited. She had just matched with a man named Danny Stoll on a dating app and had agreed to go on a date with him that evening. Samantha had heard all the horror stories about online dating, but she felt like she had a good read on Danny and was eager to see where the night would take them. As evening approached, Samantha got ready for her date, putting on a pretty dress and some light makeup. She took one last look in the mirror, feeling confident and ready to meet Danny. They had agreed to meet at a local bar, so Samantha headed out into the warm summer evening. When she arrived, Danny was already there, sitting at the bar and sipping on a drink. Samantha felt a flutter in her stomach as she approached him. He was even more handsome in person than he had been in his profile pictures. They exchanged greetings and sat down at a table together, ordering a round of drinks. As the night wore on, Samantha and Danny talked about their interests, their jobs and their families. They laughed and joked, enjoying each other's company. After a few hours, Danny suggested that they continue the evening at his apartment, which was nearby. Samantha hesitated for a moment, but then decided to go along with it. She trusted Danny and felt like she was in control of the situation. They arrived at his apartment, which was cozy and well decorated, and sat down on the couch to talk some more. Danny poured them each a glass of wine, and they chatted and flirted late into the night. Eventually, Samantha began to feel tired and a little tipsy. Danny offered to let her stay the night, and she agreed. The next morning, Samantha's alarm went off, but she didn't move. She was in a daze, feeling groggy and disoriented. As she tried to sit up, she realized that something was wrong. Her head was pounding, and she felt a strange sensation in her stomach. She stumbled to the bathroom, where she saw herself in the mirror for the first time. Her eyes widened in horror. Her face was bruised and swollen, and there were marks on her neck. She felt a wave of nausea as she realized what had happened. Danny had attacked her in the night, and now she was in his apartment alone and terrified. Samantha knew she had to get out of there. She stumbled to the door and tried to open it, but it was locked. She searched frantically for a way out, but all the windows were barred. She was trapped. Hours turned into days as Samantha lay on the couch, too weak to move. She had no food or water, and her injuries were getting worse. She prayed that someone would find her, but she knew it was unlikely. She was in Danny's apartment, hidden away from the world. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Samantha's neighbors began to worry. She had missed several days of work, and they hadn't seen her around the building. They decided to check on her, and when they found her door open, they called the police. The police arrived and searched the apartment. They found Samantha's body battered and bruised. It was clear that she had been murdered, and Danny Stoll was the prime suspect. He was arrested and charged with her murder. In court, Danny claimed that Samantha had died from an overdose of drugs that she had brought with her. But the evidence told a different story. Witnesses testified that Danny had been drinking heavily that night, and that he had been aggressive with Samantha. The prosecution presented a strong case, and the jury found Danny guilty of murder. My opinion. The story of Samantha Stewart is a tragic reminder of the dangers of online dating. It teaches us to be cautious when meeting people we don't know well, and to prioritize our safety above all else. It also highlights the importance of speaking up when we feel uncomfortable or threatened, as it may be the difference between life and death.